Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the day three and the last day of the public speaking bootcamp. I am Sakshi Sahani Kochar and I'm your facilitator for today. Uh, can we just quickly say hi to each other? Just checking in how many of us have joined. It's been a wonderful experience um, joining you all for the last 2 days for the public speaking boot camp, and here we are together in the last day. And we have been discussing how important, rather, how inevitable public speaking has become in our day to day interactions wherever we go. It's there. We really can't escape it, and it's public speaking does not really mean that we have to stand on a stage in front of a huge audience and on a mic is that we have to speak. Public speaking is not really restricted to that kind of an event. It does form a part of our daily interactions with our friends, within our offices, even when we are sitting down for a meeting, maybe when we are having a casual conversation also with our friends or families. Family is definitely okay, they don't really get into judging the members. But yes, apart from that, public speaking informally is part of every interaction that we may have with people around us. Moreover, whenever we are meeting new people, strangers, what impression they make out of us. Um, do they think, I mean, in terms of professional world, um, um, do they find us influential? Do they find us honest? Do they find us approachable to connect with? All this comes gets reflected in our interactions. Good evening. So the last 2 days we had basically covered about the foundations of public speaking. What is public speaking? Um, what are the key elements of public speaking? We spoke about stage fright, how to overcome it. We spoke about breathing exercises and visualization. Then we spoke about how to face stage fear. Obviously, practice is the key. The more we are prepared for the session, for the occasion, with our speech, the more we have practiced. I mean, nothing beats practice. But even other than practice, how do we really calm down our nerves? That's also we have been discussing. Visualization and diaphragmatic breathing help a lot in dealing with our nervousness. Also, taking pauses at the right moment, that's also really important. We don't really have to get into the pressure or under the influence of nervousness and, just show out our nervousness to our audience. Rather, we can always control it. Some amount of nervousness is always good because we are humans. We are always concerned about how is the outcome of our work, whatever we are performing or whatever we do. What is the outcome of that? Hi, good evening, Gufran. But again, um, the physiological symptoms of nervousness, like sweating or shaking of voice or shaking of limbs, um, should not be there when we are actually in front of the audience. Um, we had also spoken about a little bit about interviews yesterday, and we said that it happens even during interviews that we feel nervous. We may be at loss of words, we may forget how is that we have to answer, what was the answer, we may get blank. It's equally applicable to public speaking when we are standing in front of a huge audience. It's quite normal to get nervous, but it's we have to understand that if we feel nervous, we really won't be able to answer either to our interviewers or not would be able to take control of the situation. So first thing is that we calm ourselves down. We spoke about how to analyze our audience. Public speaking is all about connecting with our audience more than the words, the content that we are going to share. It's about how we connect with our audience, what kind of an emotional connect we are able to build with our audience. How much do they like us? And for our audience to like us, first we need to understand who are our audience and why are they there. Why have they come to our session? What do they expect from us? What are their needs? What is their background in terms of professional background, or if they're students, their educational background? What is that they are studying, or what kind of a work that they do? Also, what's their age? How much knowledge do they already have on the topic that we are going to discuss? Or to what level we intend to take them to, for that matter, even gender, um, region also, geography also is a key factor when we have to analyze our audience. Age is also a criteria when we have to analyze our audience. Age also affects the way we deliver the session. The knowledge level also affects the way we deliver the session. So, knowing about our audience is really crucial when we have to present. The next we spoke about was the three V's, which was verbal, vocal, and visual. And we spoke about how we have to structure our content. Definitely, there is a start, then there is the main body of the content, and then there is the end of the content. Uh, but how we start, that is really important, because that is something which grabs the attention of our viewers, and grabbing the attention is really important, because everyone has phones with them right now, even when they come for an online session or they come for an offline session. They have something, there are so many thoughts going out in their mind. So we really need to, for some moment, for some time, we really need to kind of bring them away from their thoughts and just make them sit in front of you so that they're ready to listen to us. And if it is an online session, um, it's very easy for our audience to lose our attention, because they are not physically present there with you. They are not physically present with the other participants. They are in their own comfort zones, maybe in the comfort zone of their homes, or maybe they are at their workplace. It is the workplace stresses around, or it could be the colleagues moving around, or maybe they are sitting at some other place, and it's also the physical environment around them that affects their attention spans even more. And psychologically, it happens that, let's say, when we are in an offline session, in a physical session, the audience would still feel, as a respect to the presenter, that I should not be looking at my phone. It's not that they won't look at it the entire time, they will, but still, that kind of a respect they maintain. But in online sessions wherein they are joining you from somewhere else, it is difficult for them also to not to get involved in something else, maybe their phones or some other tab on the laptop if they are attending the session online. So grabbing the attention at the start itself is very, very important. And coming back uh, to the main structure, the main body of the content, um, that's somewhere where you can, discuss the details of whatever topic we are speaking on. And lastly is the conclusion. How do you want to end the session? How do you want your audience to remember you as a speaker? Um, how do you want to remember the content that you have shared with them? Is it that they should have some thought to it? Is it that they should be able to take an action once they leave it? Or is it that they have a statistics in mind or some kind of a question which triggers a thought or a question? Or is it that you want them to share a responsibility? What is it that you want from them post session? So, basis that we have to give a proper closure to our session. Yesterday, what we spoke about was more about delivering the session. So the first day was more about audience and how we structure our content. The second day was about delivering the session, basically our voice. It was about controlling our voice, and we discussed few elements like pitch, the tone, the volume, the pace. We discussed all that, and we said that the content itself is not enough. To deliver the content, we need a strong voice, right? A voice which is controlled, a voice which is good enough to hold emotions, at the same time display emotions and convey those emotions to the audience. That's something which is very important. And we asked what are the different kind of emotions that we all undergo, and we got an emotional library yesterday. We discussed we get emotions like happiness, we are sad, it could be despair, disbelief, it could be frustration, anger, guilt, kindness, humor. There were so many emotions that were mentioned. And so, exactly, the point here is that how we are able to, or we should be able to convey those emotions in our voice to our audience so that they get what is that we are trying to say. We've seen, poets, the way they write their compositions, the way they recite their compositions. At times, you really feel right when they are reading out their conversations. Some uh, poets would take you down to some lifespan of yours, some age, maybe childhood or maybe your youth, right? They may speak about some kind of a relationship, and very beautifully they will be talking about the various um, the nuances of that relationship, and we all feel it, the way they have used the words, the way they uh, recite their poems. We may have smile on our faces, we may be nodding our heads, at times we may even have tears in our eyes. So that's exactly the point, how we are able to convey the emotions to our audience, and they understand where are we coming from as a speaker. So pitch was actually the highness or lowness of a voice, right? How high it sounds or how low it sounds. Is it a soft voice? Is it a sharp voice? Is there a shriek in the voice? So that is more about pitch. We spoke about um, um, the same statement spoken in a rising voice and spoken in a falling voice, and how it conveys different emotions. Same statement, same words, but just spoken differently conveys different emotions. Also, there was an activity where we asked everyone to write hello, and how would you write it in an excitement manner, in an exciting manner, so that you are able to convey your excitement to the readers who are able to read your comments. It was done beautifully. We saw certain exaggerations of some of the letters, which was rightfully done. Second was the pace. Whether we are speaking in a fast way, or are we speaking fastly, are we speaking slowly, how many words per minute is what in a conversation a person speaks. That is actually pace, and that's how it is measured. And we said the professions wherein you need to speak faster. For example, commentators, they use up to 250 words per minute. Whereas in a common conversational flow, we may use 120 to 150 words per minute. But again, basis uh, the the profession, or what is the requirement, we speak. So commentators, when they suppose we are not looking at the televisions and we are somewhere driving, and we have our radios on and we are listening to the cricket commentary. How beautifully is that commentators they speak. They would they would make it so what should I say? They'll create the excitement in their voice with that fast pace, right? That how the fieldsman is catching the ball and how he's throwing it towards the skipper and the batsman, and how is that he's trying to score an extra run for the team, and whether the ball is hitting the stumps or it has just kind of overcrossed it, and whether it's an out or it's a not out, and we are waiting, how what is that it is going to be, whether it's an out or it's a not out. And the way they declare the results, oh, it's an out, oh, it's not out, right? So on that screen, on that radio we are listening, what is the result? Similarly, if we may want to reveal a secret, we said that whispers also help. We may whisper. So again, the when you're whispering, the voice is low, right? Um, Whispering itself makes not to speak in a very fast manner. Then we proceeded to tone, and tone is an element of voice which helps us convey different emotions. We can convey empathy, we can convey anger, our frustration. We spoke about how political parties, the political leaders, when they have to ask for votes, how do they ask for votes? If they have to prove a point that these were the achievements in the last year, they will actually be speaking at the loudest, right, at the top of their voices. Or if they have to have certain accusations on the opposite parties, that itself will also be going at the top of their voices. And the call to action that you have to vote for us and this is what we are going to do again happens at a loud voice. Coming back to volume, we have to adjust our volume basis the the size of the room. Also, what is that we want from our audience? If we again, if um, we want some action, we are conveying some anger. If we are conveying excitement, we will speak loudly. But if we want to convey something empathetic, we would convey that in a calm voice. We won't be really speaking so loudly then, because that's not the idea of that particular statement. Coming back, so there was this question we came across yesterday, and is the question was that what should we do if, let's say, it is a huge audience and we don't have a mic, and they start talking amongst themselves? So what is that as speakers we should do? And I must say it was a wonderful question. I did answer it pretty swiftly yesterday, but today is what the question leads us to today. And it's basically about engaging your audience and handling the Q&A. So the whole session today is is in a way delivering your content. Now, when I say delivering your content, I mean the methodology. I am not talking about voice here. When I say I'm not talking about voice here, it's not that I am today going to completely avoid voice, because the methodologies which we use, the pedagogies which we use in delivering our speeches, or to put it simply, the way we deliver our speech would definitely need our voice. But then there are certain other elements that we can include in our speeches to make them more engaging, to make our audience find it more engaging. So let's start today. Allow me to share my screen. Just give me a moment. And here we go. So that is what is the session about, all about today, engaging your audience. How is that we have to engage our audience? We have already spoken about how we structure the content, um, but there is a way how we structure a content. We have already spoken about, okay, that there has to be a captivating introduction. But then what happens during the structure, when it is the main body of the content which you are delivering, what to do over there to make it more engaging? That is what the session is all about. So let's start. We have spoken it a lot of number of times that um, public speaking is not just about delivering information. It is more about uh, it's more about connecting with your audience. So when the audience are connected, they understand and they remember your messages. They agree with the arguments which you present to them, and they agree with your thoughts when they are engaged. Also, they stay with you when they are engaged, right? They they really don't want to kind of lose you when you are in interaction with them, and they want to be fully focused. But for all that to happen, we have to get them engaged. And the question answers, the questions which they ask, we should be able, ideally be able to answer them. But we will also see, when we're not able to answer them, what is that we do. So if we are able to really share our knowledge with them, they start trusting us, right? So having knowledge and being able to share the knowledge um, is also an important part of it. How are we able to kind of showcase our authority in terms of knowledge when we are interacting with our audience? So it's very important that we start hooking our audience right from the very start, right? So hooking the audience, even if you look at the picture over here, so there is this man, and he's able to hook the fish, with that fishing rod. So that's exactly what we have to do with our audience. We have to grab their attention in the initial time or initial few minutes of your presentation or of your speech. And of course, we definitely need to know about our audiences. Only then we will be able to uh, present them in a way which makes the content more engaging. So, uh, how is that the way we engage students, also the ones who, let's suppose, are going to preschools, is very different from someone who is going to a primary school, and engaging them is very different from someone, let's say, who is in college, right? And engaging college students is very different from engaging uh, business professionals. For example, for that matter, even engaging professors is very different from engaging um, administrators, right? Again, if we have to deliver the same content, let's say, to homemakers or decision makers, that's again very different. So each category of audience who has to be delivered a topic, we need to deliver it very, very differently, right? And of course, this is what we have been talking since the last 2 days, that we have to change our pace, volume, and pitch and tone. We've spoken a lot about it in the previous 2 days, but today is the day when we are going beyond this, right? We are going beyond our content. We are going beyond our delivery style, right? We are going to talk about how we deliver uh, the content in a more engaging manner. And we are not really talking about our voice control, but we are today talking about some of the interactive elements or some of the interactive exercises or activities that we can incorporate in our content to make it engaging. So, first of all, let's understand this, um, that they are basically, or broadly speaking, there are three kind of learners. Broadly speaking, I'm just putting off my slides right now. We are talking about the types of learner, the learning styles. So basically, there are three types of learners. One is the visual learner, second is the auditory learner, and third one is the kinesthetic learner. Visual learners are the people who learn by observing or by reading. Visual learners learn either by observing or by reading. The auditory learners, they learn by listening. Right? They would listen to the conversations, they could listen to the podcasts, they could listen to the audios, they could even learn through videos. And the same is the case with the visual learners also. So they also learn through videos and visuals. um, Auditory learners, their ears are more, the sense of ear, the hearing sense is more developed, right? So that is something which helps them more in terms of acquiring knowledge and learning. The third learner is the kinesthetic learner. So kinesthetic learner means someone who learns by doing things. You have to involve them um, in um, in activities so that they learn. So they learn by doing things. Um, very quickly in the chat, if you people can identify what kind of a learner you are. What is your learning style? Anyone? Are you an auditory learner, you are a visual learner, or you are a kinesthetic learner? Please put it in the chat. And let me just tell you that we all learn with a blend of these learning styles. We have a blend. We all are blended with these three learning styles. Okay, thank you. You are a kinesthetic learner. All right. So, actually, I'll just spell the word kinesthetic here. It is KINESTHETIC. That's kinesthetic learner. Tanya says, I am a visual learner. All right. Thank you, Tanya. So, coming back to my point, so I was saying that we all are a blend of these three learning styles, and we learn. By that, I mean that we learn by all the three learning styles, as in we make use of our eyes, we make use of our ears, also, make use of our hands while learning. But we all have one predominant learning style. Hello, Gaurav. uh, we all have one predominant learning style, and by observing ourselves we will get to know that which is our predominant learning style. At times there are assessments also available online which you can use to understand what is your predominant learning style. So now, coming back, why is that we are talking about learners here? Because in our audience will always be a mix of these three learning styles. There would be someone who's a visual learner, someone would be an auditory learner, someone would be a kinesthetic learner, and we need to provide something for all of them to stay with us, or to get the message, or to understand the message. So, just because we are there to deliver a speech doesn't really mean that, okay, we put up a PPT over there and we are standing on the stage, right? And we just have to speak. No. I mean, this is something probably, the public speaking activity has been stereotyped that you need to have a PPT and, just need to speak and you just have to talk and the audience only have to listen. No, that's not what is real public speaking. You will definitely lose your audience. Public speaking is about engaging your audience, and that's when you've done something really well. And for you to be able to engage your audience, you have to understand them. You have to understand what kind of a learners they are. So how will you understand that? We really cannot go and ask each one of you, are you a kinesthetic learner? Madam, are you a visual learner? Or sir, are you an auditory learner? We can't do that. But uh, we try and structure our content in a way which is fit for all these three kind of learners, right? So that's exactly why we have PPTs. We make use of PPTs, right? So that we are able to cater to our visual learners. So let me share, something personal here. There used to be a point in time wherein I used to think, even today I think, but then now I started thinking a little differently also. I used to feel, why is there a need of PPTs? Why do I have to, show PPTs? I mean, no one is really interested in looking at the PPT. So why? I mean, it's so boring. For me, myself, it's so boring to look at PPTs. And I'll be very frank, I really don't like looking at PPTs. But again, I figured out, rather, I realized that there is an importance of these PPTs. There was a session which I had attended and which claimed that we don't use PPTs anymore. And it was just during that session I realized that how important it is to have PPTs, at least something to put up for your audience, something to put up for your participants, because when when we are talking, right, our audience somewhere they lose the track. We don't know exactly what is that we are talking about, right? Because we discuss so many things in a session that we just forget what is that we are speaking about. So even during a short speech also, see, the attention spans have drastically dropped. So if you're just speaking, it is very very normal for the participants to just forget. They are physically there with us, but mentally they've gone somewhere else. And when they come back again, maybe, let's say, there something interesting is happening in your speech, or you just raised your volume levels, or you've you've just become dramatic in your speech, and just which just makes them to come back to the PPT. But then they're not able to understand what exactly are you talking about. So if it's a PPT is there, it helps them to understand, okay, what exactly are we talking about? Where are we in this session? Where are we this in this short session or a bigger session, or whatever is the duration of the session? So PPTs are something which are important. It is a visual aid for our participants, for our audience. So, if someone really says that, oh, I don't really like PPTs, don't really believe them, is what I would say. Some kind of a reference is needed for our, and like the way I mentioned, we all learn by all the three learning styles. It's not that someone can just ignore one of the learning styles. No, it doesn't happen. We can't ignore a single learning style. No, we may have a predominant learning style, but not really, just ignore one of the styles. That doesn't happen. So we have to support all the learning styles for our participants. Um, okay, allow me to please share the slides. Any questions still here if anyone wants to ask? Any questions still here? I hope the PPT is up and we are all able to view it. Please type yes in the chat box so we are together. Yes. Okay. All right. So again, coming back, yes, thank you, Natraj. Coming back again to engaging our audience, one of the ways of engaging them is asking questions. Um, and it's not only that, you know, uh, it is again, kind of stereotyped that once you have finished your session, the end of the session, last 5 minutes or last 2 minutes, is left for question and answers. And those question and answers, sorry, those questions come typically from your audience. This is something which is very much stereotyped about giving speeches or public speaking. That's not really the case. Audience can ask you questions in between also, right? Rather, we should be encouraging them because that's again a sign of engagement. But can we ask questions to our audience? Can we ask questions to our audience, people? Please put it in the chat. Yes, no. Yes, Ritika says yes. All right. So, can anyone tell me, or probably Ritika, can you tell me what kind of questions can we ask to our audience? What kind of questions can we throw at them? Anyone, any thoughts? Yes, thank you, Natraj. We can ask questions to see if they are interested and are they actively listening. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so Tanya says one of the questions could be, do you have any question related to the session? All right. So, okay, Tanya, let's pick up this question. You say that if they have any questions related to the session, so where ideally you will be asking this question? At what time of the session would you be asking this question? At the end, yes, yes. Natraj, yes, absolutely, at the end. So let me present to you, yes, Tanya, at the end, you're absolutely right. Let me present to you some of the kind of questions that you can ask to your audience. So, first one is the rhetorical questions. So, rhetorical question is something wherein they really don't have to give you an answer, but this is a question wherein you are giving them um, a thought to reflect something about themselves, right? Um, for example, we may ask them, do you think uh, you have you have gained weight, right? A question like this, not necessarily everyone would raise their answers or say yes, but they would know that yes, I have gained weight, right? So questions wherein they really don't have to answer to you, but answering themselves is a rhetorical question, right? Um, okay, let me give you one more example. Have you ever wondered, um, or rather, um, have you ever wondered um, if you wouldn't have said a lie to anyone? Have you ever wondered if you wouldn't have lied to anyone? Right? You. The next kind of question is a direct question. Something wherein you are asking them or you are seeking an answer from them. So something, so same question, but you frame it in a way. Um, have you ever lied to anyone? And you may see hands going up, right? If you say, have you ever lied to anyone? So here, this is a question wherein you are directly asking them that, okay, now you have to give me an answer. So there can be yes or there can be hands going up, right? So this is a kind of a question which wherein you are looking for a response from them, and they even give you a response, right? um, you can even ask them, one of the questions could be, do you want to lose weight? And they may, you may see hands going up. The next kind of a question is open-ended questions, um, which are not really yes or no kind of questions. These are questions wherein you are looking for more engagement from them. That you are actually trying to understand what is their thought process, or what are their beliefs about the topic you are speaking. So again, going by the question, we can ask them, so what makes you not to exercise? If you will ask this question to people, what makes you not to exercise, and then people will start speaking up. So someone may say, oh, I'm too busy the entire day, I don't find time for exercising, right? Or someone may say, I am afraid that if I exercise, I may uh, break one of my some of my bones. Or someone may say that, oh, I'm not really able to get up in the morning, and that's the only time if I have to exercise, and I'm not really able to get up in the morning and exercise. So that's why I don't exercise. So open-ended questions. Now you have to see what question you want to ask them. Now, why do we say what question you want to ask them? Because you will have to judge what kind of an answer or response are you looking. Where exactly is that you want to direct your session, right? Um, are you looking for open-ended questions? Are you looking insights from them? Are you looking for some kind of reactions from them? Then you can ask open-ended questions. Or do you have time? Do you also have time to engage them in your speech, right? Then you should be asking them open-ended questions. If you feel that you do not have much time, then don't go for open-ended questions. You can probably go for rhetorical kind of questions or just the direct questions, right? Okay, any questions still here? Any questions still here? So if you guys don't have a question, I have a question for you, and here it goes. Okay, so share 2 to 3 different types of questions you could use to engage an audience at the beginning of a presentation about benefits of active lifestyle. So the topic given to you is benefits of active lifestyle, and maybe 2 to 3 different types of questions which you can ask them about this topic and at the beginning of the session. What do you think you will be asking them? I'll give you kind of a minute here uh, to share your thoughts. Also, I would request not to use chat gpt and use your own creativity to answer this question. Share 2 to 3 different types of questions. So it could be a rhetorical question, it can be a direct question, it could even be an open question, open ended question. And it's not that we cannot ask open ended questions at the start of the session, we can ask. So, basis how we direct the flow of a session, we can ask any kind of questions. These 3 category questions anywhere during our session. Okay, Tanya, you've written. First question should be, do you know what active lifestyle is? Okay. To know, do they actually have some knowledge about it? Okay. All right. Thank you, Tanya. Please share few more questions. So basically, Tanya, what you're saying is their understanding about active lifestyle. What do they understand by active lifestyle? Yes, we can ask that question. Please share at least two more questions. Benefits of active lifestyle. This is something which you have to give presentation on, and we are asking you to share certain questions which you can ask your audience at the beginning of the presentation. You can even ask them, how would you want to look like? How would you want to look like in your 60s? Probably you can even show them two pictures, two images. One uh, which does not look very active and good looking and fit, and the other image is, which is the complete opposite, which is actually the result of an active lifestyle. And you can ask them, okay, uh, which one do you prefer to look like once you reach your 60s? So this is kind of a question which which is a very quick question. This is not an open ended question. Thank you, Natraj. What is your favorite exercise to keep a day active? Okay. How do you make yourself healthy? And do you think ages are playing dependency to be active, to the active lifestyle? All right. Thank you, Natraj. I really appreciate Tanya and Natraj sharing the questions there. And let's move forward. Now, um, I'll I'll stop to share my slides now. Um, yes. So we just spoke about one of the interactive elements of engaging your audience is questions. We spoke about three types of questions: rhetorical questions, which they need not really answer, but it's for their own thought, something they want to reflect on. Um, Second is open-ended, sorry, direct questions, which could be yes or no kind of a question, or just like one-word questions. And the third is open-ended questions, which which is actually to give you more insights to for more engagement. You would where you want them to speak. That's where you can ask these kind of questions. And the second element is anecdotes. Anyone knows what are anecdotes? Have you ever heard of this word anecdote, or what do you mean by anecdotes? Please put it in the chat. Yes, no, or if you know what is an anecdote, So anecdotes are basically these are like real life examples or real life short stories. Uh, okay, thank you Tanya for sharing. So these are real life short stories which you can also share maybe at the beginning of the session, or let's say when you are um, going to a sub content from the main content, and there if you have had any experience, you can share. So these are basically short stories which you can share with them about uh, whatever is the topic. I'll present the screen again. So here we see this visual. I hope the screen is up. I'll just wait for all of you to be able to see the screen. Can we all see the screen? Screen is not visible. All right, one moment. Let me try it again. Okay, now it's up, I think. Just a moment, please. Yes, now it is up. Yes. Thank you, Tanya, for that notification. Um, yeah. So, how many of you like stories? Please put it in the chat. How many of you like stories? You can just say yes. Thank you for letting me know. Yes, thank you, Yashwant. Thanks, Tanya. Okay, Natraj says that I'm an all time story lover. Thank you. All right. Thank you. So, stories are actually uh, something which is really interesting. We all like listening to stories. During our childhood, we all have listened to stories. We have read stories. We have watched stories. That's why people like cinema, and we like watching movies. We even like hearing stories, short stories from our friends also, right? Our relatives also. So the same can be incorporated in our speeches, in our presentations. But what is important is um, that we need to pick up the relevant stories or relevant anecdotes. I've already explained what is an anecdote. It is a short story or it could be an incident which someone has shared with you, and you actually happen to reshare it in your presentation. Um so that's what stories are, and why they are interesting is because they can add that emotional angle and interest. A story is something, how is that, what is the structure of a story? Have you ever analyzed? So there is a character who is the main character, he or she is the hero, and probably the life is going all smooth, and one day some hurdle comes in, and now there's a lot of pain because of that hurdle, there's a lot of hardships. But then this main character thinks that now I have to overcome this hurdle, and they will show you some kind of what should I say, some solutions, some trials, some hidden trials which must have worked, or there could be some kind of a strategy that they would have applied to overcome those problems, and at the end they may win. We also see stories where they lose also, and so people do listen to the stories, but typically we like stories, or people like stories where the character is able to overcome their struggles, right? um, and that's how we connect, that. So we somewhere psychologically we start feeling that that main character, or maybe some other character in that story, is us, and this is our story, this is our struggles. We have seen these kind of struggles, we also did something like this, or we also underwent this kind of an emotion, and now we are imagining ourselves with that character, that we've won, we've overcome that struggle. That's where the connect with the stories go. And the same is true for our audience, because just like us, they are also humans. They also like stories, they also like, winning and overcoming hurdles. And that's exactly the fact why we can incorporate stories in our speeches, and make them more engaging. But what's really important about stories is you have to pick up the relevant story which goes with your topic, right? Um, so you will have to search, you have to research what stories that you should be putting. The another thing which is very important in story, incorporating story, is how you tell that story to your audience. So for you to tell that story, you will have to actually practice it, and practice it a number of times to be able to tell it well, right? Because when a storyteller tells a story, um, he will share each and every, or he or she will share each and every detail about that story. They will have lot of variations in their tone, their pitch, their volumes, and you will have to inculcate all of that when you're telling a story to your participants. If you're not able to do it, if you're not able to practice that well, it's better not to include stories in your speeches. But if you want, then you should be first practicing and rehearsing it a couple of times, and then be sure of incorporating it. So this is something which is really important, a certain points to remember or consider when you include stories. That first of all, it should be relevant to your topic, and second is that you are able to deliver it well, right? That's when it really makes it more interesting. So here is a short activity for you all. So think of a time when you learned a valuable lesson related to attitude. Okay, so attitude, anything, it could be good attitude, it could be bad attitude, or some other learning about attitude that you would have got from somewhere. It could be from a movie, it could be from a friend, or you would have observed someone. um, Anything in attitude. So attitude is like a, a big umbrella word. It could be uh, let's say positive attitude, it could be even negative attitude, it could be about being dedicated, or it could be about hard working, anything, right? Or it could be how you look at things, anything on attitude. And once you have thought about that time when you learned a lesson, how will you jot it down so that you are able to share it as an anecdote in a presentation? So basically, first just think of a time when you learned a good lesson on attitude or related to attitude. And now you have to share it with your audience because you are giving a presentation on attitude. So just kind of jot down certain key elements from that lesson that you will want to share with your audience. So I give you 1 minute here. Please do it and share it in the chat. I hope you have understood the activity. Please write yes or no in the chat box. People, yes or no. Have you understood what is that you have to do? Yes. Thank you, Natraj. It could be anything related to attitude, um, good, bad, learning, an observation, any experience, or it could be that someone must have given you some insight into attitude. It could come from your teacher, your parents, friends, relatives, anyone. It could even come from a documentary that you must have watched. Or is it, some, if you've seen some personality which you would think of related to attitude. Saurabh, so we spoke about it in the last 2 days, how to deal with fear when you are public, when you are in that stage when you have to speak publicly. फर्स्ट थिंग, आपको प्रैक्टिस अच्छे से करना है अपने कंटेंट का, बहुत अच्छे से प्रैक्टिस करिए उसे बोलने के लिए। प्रैक्टिस करने का मतलब ये नहीं है कि हमें उसको याद कर लेना है अपने कंटेंट को, आप अपने साथ स्टिकी नोट्स भी रख सकते हो या आपके पास स्लाइड्स होती ही हैं टू काइंड ऑफ थोड़ा क्लू देने के लिए कि क्या बोलना है। बट व्हाट इज इम्पॉर्टेंट इज कि आप विजुअलाइज करो पहले अपनी सक्सेस को। अगर प्रैक्टिस करा है तो प्रैक्टिस से बहुत कॉन्फिडेंस आ जाता है। ऑल्सो अपने फ्रेंड्स के सामने बोलना प्रैक्टिस करिए। 2-3 फ्रेंड्स को उन्हें बोलिए कि ऑडियंस बने और आप उनके सामने बोलना शुरू करिए। 2-3 बार करने से काफ़ी चीज़ें में इम्प्रूवमेंट आता है, बट प्रोवाइडेड कि आप करें। एंड So this is how I had started. um, इवन फॉर इंटरव्यूज ऑल्सो, काफ़ी लोगों को इंटरव्यू देने में भी डर लगता है, तो आई ऑलवेज टेल देम कि फर्स्ट प्रिपेयर द कॉमन इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चंस, और उसके बाद आप काफ़ी मॉक इंटरव्यूज प्रैक्टिस करें तो आप उससे काफ़ी खुलते हैं, काफ़ी डर जो होता है कम हो जाता है। क्योंकि क्यों डर कम हो जाता है इसका रीज़न मैं आपको बताती हूँ। क्योंकि हमारा जो ब्रेन है वो ये चीज़ समझ चुका है कि अब ये सिचुएशन मैंने कई बार देख ली है, आई हैव बिन इन दिस सिचुएशन मैनी नंबर ऑफ टाइम्स, तो वो डर कम हो जाता है। ऑल्सो द सेम गोज फॉर पब्लिक स्पीकिंग, you have to speak in front of at least the known people for at least 2-3 times। आपका देखना आपका कॉन्फिडेंस में बहुत इम्प्रूवमेंट हो जाएगा। आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि 0 से 100 चला जाएगा, नहीं, बट एटलीस्ट 50 to 60 या 60 to 70% चेंज भी आ सकता है। सेकेंड थिंग इज विजुअलाइजेशन, जो द एक्सरसाइज वी वर डूइंग ऑन द day 1, you actually have to start imagining everything very strongly. Now, why I'm saying you have to imagine things strongly is again, अब अपने ब्रेन को आने वाले सीक्वेंसेस में डाल के प्रैक्टिस करवा रहे हो। सो व्हेन यू आर एक्चुअली गोइंग इन दैट सिचुएशन, योर ब्रेन नोज दैट दिस सिचुएशन is not new for me. I have been in this situation and I can deal with it. So, practicing in front of your friends is actually putting yourself in a situation जो आपके लिए नई नहीं होगी। जब ये सिचुएशन नई हो जाती है तब हमें डर लगता है, जब सिचुएशन नई नहीं रहती है ना तब हमें डर नहीं लगता है। दैट इज व्हाई आई से प्रैक्टिस, रिहर्स इन फ्रंट ऑफ ऑडियंस, in front of your friends. Also, deep breathing is something which is really beneficial. I mean, I also do it. It's been so long I have been delivering sessions, but her audience is very different. Every audience is different. In every session we don't know what kind of audience are we going to get. We may have idea about them, like the way I'm talking in these sessions, right? But there will always be an element of surprise, always. I mean, this is 100%, there will always be an element of surprise with your audience. So, uh, deep breathing really helps to calm yourself down, क्योंकि जब हम नर्वस होते हैं तो हमारी बॉडी बहुत अलग तरीके से बिहेव कर रही होती है, जो हमारे को आगे सोचने ही नहीं देती कि अब आगे बोलना क्या है, हम अटक जाते हैं, राइट? That's why we need to really calm ourselves down with those deep breathing. थोड़ा टाइम दो अपने आप को सोचने के लिए एंड देन गो अहेड। सो डीप ब्रीदिंग, visualization, and rehearsing in front of your known group of people, these three things will help you like any in any which ways. I can give it to you in writing. आपका कॉन्फिडेंस अभी जो है उसके हिसाब से बहुत अलग होगा अगर आप ये तीन चीजें करते हो। Okay, how to perform good in good discussion that will take place in many good companies. How to perform good in and will be okay. So for group discussion, one thing is you should have knowledge about the topic for which you have to read, and again try rehearsing for group discussions also. क्योंकि ग्रुप डिस्कशन ऐसी चीज होती है जहाँ पे आपको बहुत फास्ट बोलना होता है, जोर से बोलना होता है कि आप सुनाई दे, राइट? कई बार चांसेस ऐसे भी होते हैं कोई इतने बहुत क्या व्हाट शुड आई से बहुत कोहेसिव गुड ग्रुप डिस्कशंस नहीं होते हैं कि जहाँ पे आपको मॉडरेटर बोलेगा हाँ सौरभ अब आप बोलिए, नीलेश अब आप बोलिए, नटराज अब आप बोलिए। It's not like that, you know, you have to really snatch your chance to speak. snatch a chance to share your views. So even over there, आपको सबसे पहले knowledge होना चाहिए टॉपिक का. अगर knowledge नहीं होगा तो क्या बोलेंगे? Second thing is rehearse. अगर रिहर्सल करा होगा, प्रैक्टिस करा होगा, you will be in a much better place. So Saurabh, this is the suggestions that I can give you. Whether it is interviews, it is public speaking or group discussion, first prepare your content. Group discussion mein you cannot prepare your content. It's just that you can only read as much as you can about different topics. And rehearsal practice is what you can do. Natraj, I'm coming back to your comment. Okay, so this is about attitude. During work, I received a feedback which said positive attitude was missing, where I thought of practicing and reframing same to my challenges and opportunities for growth. For them, I challenge myself as I can do. Absolutely, Natraj. So what I understand is that somewhere there this feedback came that positive attitude was missing, so you took it up as a challenge and you started working on it. Wonderful. So basically, it is actually the examples like this which Natraj has just shared, that something, some personal experience you can always share, right? Uh, that once I got a feedback like this, and that was the day I decided that I have to pick myself up, I have to pull up my socks, and I have to work. So these personal experiences, these stories, they make things more relatable for our audience. All right, Natraj, I understand, but I'm happy that at least you got the idea. Saurabh, I'm just reading your comment. ओके, सो दैट इज वाई सौरभ, मैं इसीलिए आपको बोल रही हूँ कि कई बार ग्रुप डिस्कशन बहुत कोहेसिव नहीं होते हैं, जहाँ पे मॉडरेटर आपको चांस देता है. आपको चांस पहले लेना पड़ता है, राइट? तो जो चीज़ें आपको पता होती हैं, फर्स्ट थिंग इज कि आपको उस टॉपिक के बारे में बहुत कुछ पता हो, जो किसी पहले वाले ने नहीं बोला है. ऑल्सो ग्रुप डिस्कशन इज नॉट ओनली अबाउट स्पीकिंग, इसमें सुनना भी पड़ता है. अगर सुनेंगे तो और पॉइंट्स भी बोल पाएंगे. अगर सुनेंगे नहीं, इसी हड़बड़ी में रहेंगे कि हम मुझे बोलना है, मुझे अपने आप को प्रूव करना है, तो सुन नहीं पाएंगे. दूसरे को सुन नहीं पाएंगे तो कुछ नया ऐड भी नहीं कर पाएंगे. तो दो चीजें हैं, या तो पहले बोलिए, और अगर नहीं बोल पाए हैं तो दूसरों को सुनिए. दूसरों को सुन के कुछ और क्लूज मिलेगा जिसको आप ऐड कर सकते हो, राइट? तो ये जो सुनने वाली बात है, इसको आप कई बार कर सकते हो सेशन में, राइट? अगर सुनोगे तभी बोल पाओगे, अगर सुनोगे ही नहीं तो बोलोगे कैसे? और अगर पहली बार बोल दिया, मान लो चांस मिल गया कि पहली बार बोल दिया, तो क्या चुप हो जाएंगे? क्योंकि आपको इंक्लूड होना है ग्रुप डिस्कशन में बार बार, तो सुनना भी उतना ही इम्पोर्टेंट है. Okay, let's move forward. All right. So next thing is, how can we engage our audience using humor? Have you ever used humor in your PPTs? Anyone in your speeches? कभी किसी ने थैंक यू सौरभ कभी किसी ने जोक्स ह्यूमर यूज किया है अपनी पीपीटीज में या कभी सोचा ही नहीं इसके बारे में या कभी किसी और को यूज करते देखा है ओके so again humor is something which is another one of the elements which we can include in our presentations but the caution with humor is that we should know where to use it. We should know whether the humor is going to work or not. And we have to keep it relevant. And let's, not just force it, right? Um, Sometimes we must have seen even these stand-up comedians, they also do it. Even otherwise, people will create jokes on themselves. They'll crack jokes about themselves, which is okay. But don't overdo it. Sometimes people get advice that don't joke about anyone else. What you can rather do is you can crack jokes on yourself, but I would suggest don't overdo it. Why? Because then there is a possibility that you are creating some kind of impression of yourself in your audience's mind, and they may not take you that very seriously. So use it in balance, in appropriately, but do not force it. See, there is this picture which is here. Kindly read the joke over there. So this is intentionally it's been put. So again, it is basically about the fear which is associated with public speaking. So they say people fear public speaking more than they fear death. So technically, if you kill a guy who's scheduled to speak, you're doing him a favor. We move on. Certain another ways how we can include engagement is I don't know who had asked this question yesterday. I had mentioned about it in the starting also, and we spoke about all this yesterday. But I mean, we just kind of covered it in bullet points. But here, where it is, someone had asked the question that. If we are in front of a huge audience, we lose the mic and they start talking amongst themselves. How will we capture their attention? So all this is are the ways how you can capture their attention. Humor, anecdotes, questions, and other than this, all this. You can have polls in your presentation. Sometimes there are poll supporting softwares also which one can use. If not, like the way we are doing in this session, we are asking you to put your answers in the chat box. You can do that as well. There can be certain short stories uh, wherein you would have to uh, you can engage the audience. Many a times it happens that people may say that ma'am, we are just given like uh, 5 minutes for our presentation, and how is that we are going to include activities in our presentations? I mean, it's not possible. uh, See, you will have to see what is your topic. You will also have to see how much time you have in hand, and if there is a chance, if you can include that activity in your sessions. There are certain short activities also which you can include, right? uh, Now for example, let's say we are delivering a session on attention spans, right? So in that attention span, if I have to do some activity, I may just ask the audience if all of you can stand and sit and stand and sit. I can do this much also in those 5 minutes. So this is something, and I will say that we did this activity to kind of bring you back to the session, right? So basically, uh, we saw that you people were feeling little derailed. You people were kind of you know just to bring back the energy, bring the attention spans. We did this activity, so it's just an example of how you can do short activities also in your presentations. Question answers we have spoken about. You can also have certain group discussions in your sessions. Uh, so it could be that you give them a topic. Let's say you have around 25 people in your audience, and what you can still do is make 5 group of each team, and let's say give them a topic, and probably uh, you ask after the discussion whatever time you give, let's say 5 to 10 minutes for the discussion, and in these 10 minutes all the 5 teams are discussing simultaneously. After that, one person comes and present whatever has been the summary of their team's discussion. So here you have actually given them a relief from just listening to you, right? They are just not listening to you, rather now they are engaged amongst themselves. Group discussion is very good for someone who is a kinesthetic learner and also an auditory learner. So you have given something to your auditory as well as your kinesthetic learner. Also, it gives them a little break from just sitting out there and listening to the presenter. And then we can always have certain quizzes or certain short surveys. So quizzes can be like, it could be multiple choice questions, it can be fill up the blanks, it could be match the followings, um, or just you just throw a question, and they have to answer. So these are again very quick things which you can do. Not also quick, I mean, see, in the sessions which I conduct, I include a lot of activities. So for me, it may not be short. I will have to see what is the duration on my session, and that's how I will design the activity and accordingly time it. Whereas quizzes, question answers, polls, these are very quick activities that one can do during your speeches. Now, we come to visual aids and presentations. So you will be noticing that today uh, I've included certain visuals in my presentation, and I've done it intentionally so that we understand um that what is the impact of these visuals in our slides, and what it impacts it makes. The last 2 days I had not really used any of the visuals, so the reason was this, because I wanted to keep it for today. Visuals, they help us enhance our message. um, it kind of not that everything you have to read, at times when we just look at the picture we understand. And it also happens that uh, with some of the learners a picture still remains with them. They may forget the text which was written, but picture would still remain with them. So that happens with the learners. And as the way it is said, a picture speaks 100 words, right? So it's good to include pictures. At times, these visuals, they can communicate the text in a more concise manner, right? So it's good to include visuals, and also it just kind of gives your presentation, your slides, more colors, more flavors, a little more variety. The kind of variety we were talking about our voices, these visuals, they give that variety to our PowerPoint slides. Always keep minimal text on your slides. You can follow the rule of 6 by 6, which says that do not have more than 6 bullet points, and each bullet point should not have more than 6 words written, right? Use good colors, readable fonts. You can use Arial, you can use Cambria. Uh, Also, do not clutter your slides. Do not write too much text on your slides. Like the way I said, please follow the 6 by 6 rule. Use good quality pictures. Sometimes, you can just, when you're downloading the picture, you can just look at the pixels, how much pixels it is, and accordingly you use pixels which are of, it's a high pixel image. Use that. Try putting it on the slide, see how it is looking to you. Is it clear enough, or is it shady? Is it blurred? How it is? This is something which is very easy to gauge. Now, certain don'ts which we shouldn't be doing while presenting is, never read from the slides. The slides are there just to kind of, you know, give you a little clue that what is coming next or what is that you have to speak. But just don't look at the slides and read. I had also told you that if you're presenting, do not show your back to your audience. So stand in a way wherein you're still facing, you're half facing towards your audience, right? So that they're able to see the board, they're able to see half of you as well. So please do not read it from the slides. It becomes very, very boring. They themselves can read from the slides. So you don't really have to assist them. You would rather be explaining the points. One thing which I would want to mention over here is that, uh, keep the design of your slides consistent, right? As in the heading font should be consistent. So over here I've used the font as 36. The body content should be consistent. I've been using 32 as the body content, right? The bullet styles should be the same. So if I have put, wherever I have put pictures, I have put it in the same layout, wherein you have, at one place you have a content, at the other place you have the visuals. So it's the same design or the same format which I have been uh, using. So for the last 3 days, it is the um, same template that I have been using for my PowerPoints. I've not changed it. So it's good that you stay consistent with your design, with your fonts, style, and font sizes. Any questions till now? Anyone? Any questions till now? Because I'm going to the questions section now. So if you have any questions, please shoot. Okay. So this is about the value of questions. Uh, so what is the value of questions? It is something which engages or increases engagement. Like the way I had asked this question in the starting, that is it just that the audience can ask you questions or you can also ask them questions? And we said yes, we can also ask them questions, and it's not typical that the questions and answers round has to be kept at the end. Yes, it is kept because that is the format, and that's how we are ending our speech or presentations. But in between also, we can always encourage our audience to ask questions, and also encourage them for engagement from them. So the value of questions is, uh, that the kind of questions they are asking, it makes us understand as speakers that they have, whether they have got our point or not, whether they are agreeing with us or not, right? So what kind of a feedback is what we are getting from them. Also, the way we answer our questions helps us display the authority in that subject matter. So that's one of the value of questions. Now, this is something which is very interesting. How many of you feel scared of the question answer rounds? Anyone, please write yes or no. Anyone who feels scared of the question answers round, which is there at the end of your presentation or your speeches. Natraj says yes sometimes. Yashwant is also saying yes. All right. Okay. Anyone else? Any fear of questions? All right. So, see, I'll tell you the way out of these questions. First thing is that you thoroughly know your topic. You know, you should be knowing about your topic thoroughly. Don't just depend on ChatGPT to make those slides. Make your own research. Uh, you can use ChatGPT uh, probably to give you a foundation. But what I feel is that if you use, a structure given by someone else, it just influences me. So it becomes very difficult for me to get out of that influence and just think something more. So what I rather do is I first make my own points. I first do my own research, and then I would rather take help from someone else. And that's when I get to understand if I have missed on certain points and if I would really want to include few more points. That's how I work. So coming back to these questions, firstly, listen to what the person is asking. Many a times it happens that people start feeling nervous. Oh, I don't know what question is that is coming. Will I be able to answer it or not? So first thing which is very important is that calm yourself down, right? First listen what the question is. If you are able to listen, you will be able to give time to your brain to think and answer. If you are under that influence of that nervousness, neither you will be able to listen, forget about answering, right? So, group discussions, interviewers asking you questions, audience asking you questions. First thing, very important, is that you listen. Calm your nerves, listen, think, and then answer, right? Also, it is good that you are able to uh, paraphrase or rephrase the question so that everyone in the audience understands the question, right? It's not that um, uh, you just have to satisfy the person who has asked this question, or you just have to answer it to that question. Sometimes it happens that many other people also have the same question but they won't be asking, right? So it's important that while we are answering, we answer to the entire group, right? We look at the entire group and not just at the person who is asked the question. Why do I say that just don't look at the person who has asked you the question? Because remember, eye contact is very, very important. Not only while delivering the speech, but also while answering a question, right? Also, make a note of this point here that even, let's say you go for an interview and there is a panel sitting of, let's say, three people, right? And there is a person who's sitting in the center, and she is asking you the question. So while you answer, don't just look at her. Distribute your eye contact to the person sitting on her left and on her right as well. So this makes them feel that you are including them in your answers. You are not just there to satisfy one person, and that also creates a good impression about you. It also portrays your confidence levels, right? So same thing is applicable to public speaking. If you're answering not only during the speech but also during the question answers round, that you look at everyone and answer. Also at times when you're just looking at the person who has asked the question, the person may feel a little intimidated by your constant eye contact with them. So please distribute it. um, Rephrase the question for everyone, paraphrase it so that first of all you have understood it well, right? And then now you're helping the entire group to understand. You can thank you them for that question, uh, because it's one of the etiquette while you are there at the stage. So please acknowledge the question. You can thank you the person who has asked the question. Also, if you feel that it is a little tricky question, right? It is a little difficult question. You can take some time to think and then answer. So, um, probably you can say that it is an interesting question, or you can say that thank you for bringing that up. So, this is also a way of acknowledging that question, which is the third point here. You can even say, let me think about it for a moment. Or even while you are rephrasing the question, you're ideally taking some time to think about it, right? So, the same thing happens during interviews. It's not that the moment the interviewer has finished the last word of the question, you have to, just jump into answer. Think for a moment. You can always paraphrase the questions, and while you are paraphrasing, you're giving time to your brain to think and then you answer. So please make use of this strategy and let's move forward. It may happen sometimes that you do not know the answer of a question, right? So do not take it personally. What is important is that you answer how much ever you know, and whatever you don't know, please acknowledge that. Allow me to revert to you either by email or at the end of the session. So that's what you can always do. And it is quite possible that someone may say, though it doesn't happen generally, but it is possible to happen that someone in the public may say that, oh, I don't agree with that point, I don't agree with you, right? So do not get defensive, do not take it personally, rather stay calm. You really don't have to show your emotions and feel offended or defensive. Stay calm, listen to what the other person is saying, and if you can explain your point again, you explain. And see, again, everyone has different perspectives, so be ready to accept the other person's perspective also. Yes. um, so this is something which is really really important. I have spoken about this uh, in a bit at the starting of the session, that how will you feel how will you project your confidence even during public speaking is first practice your material thoroughly. Do your research. Do not get under the influence of chat gpt, that okay, I'll just put it on chat gpt even for the convenience matter. Do your research. If you still want, after your research, you take help of chat gpt, that's absolutely fine. But do make use of all your own brain and your creativity. Anticipate what kind of questions can come. Once you start anticipating, you are making yourself ready for any kind of questions which come, right? Always maintain a positive body language, speak with confidence, do not um, do not disregard any question, right? Um, Give significance to every question which has been asked, acknowledge every question that has been asked. Many a times it happens that uh, someone may ask you a difficult question, or someone may not agree with you, like the way we were just talking about it. I'm just stopping to share my slides here. uh, yeah, so previously we were just talking that at some point of time, let's say someone says, oh, I don't agree with you whatever you have presented, right? uh, what would you do at that moment of time? So there is this tendency that we start, or we think that now I have to satisfy this person, right? I have to answer to this person completely, right? And I actually have to make this person agree to me. That's not the case, right? Um, Even when I go for certain training sessions, it may happen that people have different perspectives. After the entire 6 hours of session, they may say, oh, I don't agree with you. It is quite possible, right? Or they will start, uh, a lot of push and pull will start on certain point. We should know when to stop. Now, why I say we should know when to stop is because uh, if you're just looking at one person, or if you're just answering to that person, you will actually end up losing the entire audience, right? So please don't do that. Provide your equal time to everyone. And like the way I said, um, it's important that we stay calm, we stay confident, and we we are able to exhibit our professionalism while we are speaking publicly. With this, I would want to end the session here and wish you people all the best for any of your future presentations or your future speeches. And any questions, anyone, please shoot. I will be happy to reply. Any questions? Any questions, anyone? Okay, anyone who can share what is the takeaway from today? What are your individual takeaways? Quickly, please put it in the chat. What are your individual takeaways from today's session? Natraj, Yashwant, Ritika, Archana, Mamta, Gaurav, Saurabh. So, what all we discussed today was um, We spoke about basically engaging our audience today and handling the Q&A sessions. We spoke about incorporating various interactive elements like polls, quizzes, anecdotes, stories, short exercises, and we spoke about how to stay calm when we are handling questions. So, without any further ado, I would want to end the session here and wish all of you all um, a good luck for your future presentations and your public speaking sessions. Thank you very much, everyone, and all the best.